Welcome to Move Your Mind. My name's Nick Bracks, and this is the podcast where we have real conversations with real people and give real advice. On this episode, I spoke to Alex Volkanovski, who is the #1 UFC fighter in the world for his division. Since I last spoke to him, he's become literally one of the biggest figures in the history of the UFC. He is on fire at the moment, and I'm just so grateful that he made the time to sit down with me for an hour and talk about his life, his process, his history, his resilience that he's built, his family, how he approaches everything. And one of the key messages that I took out of the conversation with him was the fact that anyone can do it. He doesn't have any special talents, but the talent that he really has is that he can push himself further than anyone else. So please listen to this interview, watch the interview, and thank you again for supporting Move Your Mind. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to nickbracks.com/book to purchase the Move Your Mind book, or you can join our Move Your Mind community at moveyourmind.me. Alex, thank you so much for making the time to come and talk to me today, mate. I've spent the morning looking you up, and I was like, holy shit, it's pretty impressive what he's done. And I've learned a little bit more about mixed martial arts and that whole area in the last year or so through other friends that are interested in it. So yeah, fascinated to have this talk, but just wanted to say to you, first of all, thank you for making the time.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me. It'd be good to have a chat, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate it. So how have you been? What's been happening this year? Have you been, have things been compromised through COVID? How's that all changed? Yeah, I'm interested to hear about your experience with that.
Yeah, it's definitely been a different year for everyone, So for me included, but I was lucky enough to actually get a fight this year, to actually compete this year. Not many sports or athletes were able to do that, or especially when I did that back in July. So that was deep.
All right.
In COVID. We went to Abu Dhabi and fought over there and defended my UFC belt, the featherweight strap. So it was a crazy experience, man. It really was. And right now it's still, obviously there's hurdles happening in the UFC and, things like that. But I'm still training. I like to stay active. So I just, always ready. I always say I stay ready and stay in good shape, because you never know when something might come. Because that last one that I had was only 6 weeks notice before I knew I was having that fight. So wow. You never know. So I'm the type of guy that's, always in pretty good shape. So if something comes pretty quick, I can get stuck into it. So
you're ready to go.
Always staying ready.
I think it's a good point for anyone, whatever you're doing, stay ready, because that's the thing. Life's so unpredictable, isn't it? We don't know, just like COVID and these kind of things can come out of the blue. Also, we might be thrown an opportunity that we didn't expect to come. And if you're not ready for it, then you can't capitalize on it. But so it's a good point.
It's exactly right. And that's exactly what it was. It was the fact that it was a big opportunity. The first, it was Fight Island. They called it Fight Island, and it was a big deal. And we're going to be the first fight card on the island. So the world was talking about it. We're going to be like the only sport going at the time, and there was a lot of eyes on it, and it was going to free title fights on. You know what I mean? So it was a huge opportunity for me. It was an opportunity I didn't want to miss. So I'm glad I always stay ready. I'm always in a pretty good nick. So. And we got the job done, which is always good too. So it was a great experience, but I mean, well worth it as well.
Yeah, well, congrats on that as well, on getting the job done. And was it a lot of hoops to go through to be able to? I mean, that's like really in the middle of when the pandemic was pretty severe over here, I guess. Was it hard to get out of the country to go and do it?
It was very hard. Look, it was a lot of hurdles. Luckily enough, I don't have to deal with that side of things. But even just in prep, there was it's still a team sport. Obviously, it's only me in the octagon, but at the same time, you need your training partners and coaches. And at that stage, you weren't allowed to train at the gym. You weren't allowed out of your house. I was like, so we're doing a lot of training at home. I was, staying fit and ready that way. And when we heard of this opportunity to go on Fight Island, we only had 6 weeks to prepare. The team they talked to like the government and all that and made sure we had exemption to train. So we're allowed to train. I end up getting guys from all over, like New South Wales, to come in the bubble with me and train for my camp. And then there was hurdles one after another. Like I didn't get, this is literally my last session I did on the day I left to go to Abu Dhabi. We didn't have our exemption till like 3 or 4 hours before I had to get on the flight. So I wasn't even allowed to leave the country. At that stage, like, we thought we went through it, and then there was other dramas, and so there was a lot that had to happen, that had to be done, and there was a lot of hurdles, and we got through them. I was thankful enough to have a team behind me to help me with that. But it was considering the times as well. Actually, the process of me getting to Abu Dhabi and all that, it was actually, the process wasn't too bad. I probably expected a lot worse, but.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of hurdles, but, we got through them, thankfully.
That's great. Yeah, it'd be hard to stay focused in amongst all of that. And it reminds me, made me think of like a Rocky movie or something where you've got, 6 weeks, you've got to crank up the training, you got this intense period. I mean, I'm sure it would have been like exciting as well, but then also just so difficult when there's so many distractions and so many things going on. How do you stay, hyper focused?
Yeah. Well, that's
in that. It's like, yeah.
It is because as you said, like I knew there was hurdles, and I knew there was a chance I might not even get to Abu Dhabi. But I only had 6 weeks to prepare, and like that's not a big camp. So for you to get ready, and like for me, I'm all about preparation, and I want to be in the best, physical and mental shape I can going into a fight. So I train hard, and we put a lot on the line in the gym. We really get stuck into it, and it's hard to have that commitment and motivation, like especially when you don't even know if you're going to fight. So there's still, you still got that in the back head. Oh yeah, what if you don't even fight? But these are little battles that you will try and get through. But you just have to stay strong. And luckily, again, like I got the team not telling me everything.
Yeah.
So I didn't know about the fact that we didn't have it. But I mean, obviously in my head, I still knew there's going to be hurdles, but I had to push them aside and do what needed to be done. I got a structure in camp, and we do things how we do them, and you got to be focused. So that was a bit of a challenge, but it was something that it had to be done.
Yeah. No, great. So every time I get a new guest on, we sort of ask them to just do just a really brief overview of who you are, where you've come from, how you got to where you are now. And, we'll cover a lot of this when we go through it, but just if you can do, a condensed just for anyone listening so they can learn about you, just a bit of a background on yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm just I like to say I'm just a normal bloke from a small town here in the Illawarra, Shell Harbour region, Illawarra region, and just a family. My mother was Greek and my dad was Macedonian, and just hardworking family. You know what I mean? And one thing that I can say is I'm just from a small town that that dug deep and stayed committed and believed in myself. And I've done plenty of sports, found MMA, and took that on. And again, I'm still here in the Illawarra. A lot of people think you can't do big things from small towns. I trained literally a couple of 100 meters away from my house, and I was able to be there from day one. Still be just a normal human being that's taken out the world. Now I'm a UFC world champion. So again, that's something that I really want to, sort of let people know that, you don't need to be in the big city and all that. Like, I'm just, again, it's just something that just believe in yourself, hard work. And, if you've got the right mind frame and, good people around you, you can do anything. And again, I did it all from, as most people say, a small town. And, now I'm a UFC world champ.
That's amazing. Well, I love that message as well, that, what you're saying, you don't have to go because I think like more than ever, whatever we're trying to pursue now, like people feel like I need to, put this image. It's all more about the front end stuff and where you are, what you're doing, what you're presenting. Whereas like what you were saying here, and from what I've read on you, it's, you've simplified it a lot. It's just, if you want to do something, just work your ass off and
Yeah.
you can do it. The rest will sort itself out.
Yeah.
I love that message.
Well, exactly right. You're 100%. Everyone's trying to obviously, whether in our sport especially, they put on a front, and they're obviously, and it's a part of the game, and I understand that. And obviously, you want the message. You got your messages you want to put out there, but really, my message is that, you know what I mean. Like, you can do it, no matter who you are, no matter where you're from. Don't ever let anyone tell you can't do it. Just
Yeah.
if whatever you believe in, you can do it. So that's something that I truly do believe in. That's a message that I do want to get out there.
Yeah. No, it's a great message, mate. And did you always want to be a professional athlete? I read that you played rugby league, was it, or union?
Yeah, rugby league.
Rugby league. Was that sort of the initial goal, and then you went into mixed martial arts after that?
Yeah, well, I played soccer when I was younger, like my brother did, and my father, and then I wrestled. I actually did a bit of wrestling, which isn't that big in Australia, but I just so happened to get caught up in wrestling from like a PCYC, like a youth games night, and they finished on a Friday night. They would finish with wrestling, and I went in and wrestled a few people, and the coach was like, "Mate, you're good at this. You should come give it a go." So I did that like for a year, I think I did. And I did very well. Like, I was Australian champion, national champion. But then I got, I just wanted to play football with my mates. So that's sort of where I went to football and that. And I was half decent at it, but there was something that I've always loved about martial arts. It's something that I don't know if it's just in my blood or whatever it is. It's just something that my family, uncles, everything, that we've all always been into it, and it's always been something that I wanted to do. I wasn't even training MMA at the time. I was, picturing myself UFC champion, and I wasn't even training. You know what I mean? So it was something that was always a passion of mine. But I just, it'll happen, and I just, just played it off for so long until I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go and let's go do this. I believe in myself, and that's when my last year of football is when I had a couple of fights, and I trained and thought, you know what, let's take this on. And it was quite a journey. It was but a quick journey, considering I was 22 years old when I started MMA, and to be a world champion starting at such a late age, I think it's pretty impressive. Something I'm very proud of. And again, that goes with that message I try and tell people, like, you know what I mean? You can do it. You can do it.
You can do it, and it doesn't matter, what age you are, when you're starting. If you want to commit to it, you can do it. Because that's what I was going to ask you. I'd read, you were 22, 23 when you got into it. You're 31 now, I think, from what I read. I mean, it's a pretty short window that you've like gotten into this sport and become world champion. It's like, bloody hell, I think you should be proud of that. I'm like pretty in awe of the fact you've been able to do it like in that short amount of time. Yeah.
That's yeah, man, it's funny because it sort of felt like it was still a long process, but it was so quick at the same time. There was times where, I wanted to get into the UFC. Obviously, UFC is the pinnacle of the sport, and I was number one in Australia pound for pound. I was a world champion in other organizations, and, I did so much in the sport here in Australia, and I was like, man, when am I going to get this UFC contract? And there was like a good 2-year period where everyone was trying to push for me, and it just wouldn't happen. So, that was a process where, like, so there was some times where it felt like it was dragging on, but to still do what I've done in the short amount of time it's something I'm proud of. And, I put it down to, the right mind frame, the hard work, and, putting in the hours and doing what needs to be done.
Yeah, 100%. And, this podcast, it's the core of it's about mindset. And I read a thing you had said where I won't read the whole thing, but you'd said, there's no excuses in fighting. You can be playing a team sport and have a good game, and you can still lose in fighting. It's all on me. And if I go out there and lose, then it's my fault. And you said that you like that. And I can sort of relate to that from when I used to compete in running. I went from football to middle distance running at a pretty high level. And now with acting as well, I love that feeling. I mean, it can be hard in different ways, but that feeling that this is all on me. I'm not it's every single thing I do, whether I get a result, I control, and that's up to my mindset. I mean, how big of a part does mindset play in that? That's the number one thing?
Mate, it really is. It really is. It's something that, for me, obviously, I can only talk from my experience, and that is through MMA and mixed martial arts and like martial arts in general. Not only you get the values and morals that you respect and honor and all that type of discipline, and which goes a long way as well. But I mean, competing is in any sport is really good, but just something about MMA. Again, I'm going to talk from my experiences.
Mm.
Uh, you know, like building resilience and building such a word that's used so much now. But I come to MMA and I think of the more and more I talk about it, the more and more I'm in. Like having chats about it, the more I learn about it, I learn about myself. What made me that person that's just going to do what needs to be done? Like, how do I get through some of these sessions I need to do? Like some of these sessions I do, some people watch me and see my fitness and all that, and they just can't believe it. Mm-hmm. And I bring it to like them early days in the gym, or maybe even my childhood, where it is, building resilience. We didn't even know I was doing it at the time, but that's why I feel like, and it's something that I know even for my daughters, I'd love to put them into martial arts because, competing, losing, losing, being in uncomfortable positions, being in a position where you're fighting to get back up, it's mm-hmm. not comfortable, but do I just give up? Do I stop? No, you're going to push for it. And if you're constantly doing that your whole life, obviously these are battles you're going to have in life as well. You are going to be, things are going to want to pull you down, and you've got to try and push yourself through it. But I do believe like these are things while I'm in the gym, I'm just constantly, I'm building the resilience. I'm building one thing that I use a lot is, this is my sort of saying, is I say comfortable in uncomfortable positions. I wouldn't say comfortable. That's probably the wrong word, but I accept uncomfortable positions. So, I am going to get uncomfortable, and you know what I mean? And I've accepted it's how do I get through that then? How do I move on from there? How do I get over that hurdle? Do I just give up, or do I find a way that's going to work? Or, you know what I mean? I'll just get through it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to tell people, again, you said this is more about a mental side of things. I don't have all the answers, but I mean, one thing that I know from my experience is I deal with it through the resilience and through through being in these positions where sometimes you ain't going to always win, you know what I mean? So that's why I love my sport. Like starting it, I wish I started when I was younger, but I'm lucky enough, whether it was through my childhood, being through my family, and again my parents were just hard workers, and there was times where they were great for me. I'm not gonna lie, I had everything I needed, but they were hard workers. They were they come from villages. They come back and they worked for what they had to work for. And, there was times where I was a very young guy and I had to, fend for myself, where I, cook my own feeds, get to school myself. And there'll be days where I forgot to pack my own lunch and I wouldn't have the whole day without food at school. And, all right, well, I just had to deal with the type thing. But again, it was not something that I'm not trying to throw shade on my parents. It was just they were hard workers and they were there. And I had responsibilities that I had to look after. And rather than being angry about it, I'm sort of glad I was sort of put in them positions as well. I'm not saying for parents to just do that, you know what I mean? But I just mean for me, my life experience, I believe it's that helped me be the type of person I am, when I'm in these uncomfortable positions, just be like, it's all right, I've got to get through it. I'm not going to just stop. I'm not just going to give up. I'm just going to go. And I'm doing this on a day-to-day basis in the gym. My coach makes me work hard. There's sessions where I say that, fighting is the easy part. Preparation for the fight is the hard part. I don't get nervous to fight. I get nervous for some of my training sessions because I know I'm going to go to breaking point. But do I give up or do I move forward? Sorry, I kept going on with that, but that's sort of where I wanted to go with that sort of message. Accepting uncomfortable positions, and how do you deal with that? Do we just give up, or do we at least accept it? And then how do we make ourselves better from that?
No, I'm glad you went on with it because there's so many things, amazing things you've said in that. And I think the one of the most important things is exactly that people need to understand that, in life, whatever we want to do, we are going to have to go through discomfort. And I think a lot of the time we try and avoid that discomfort. And if you avoid it, you're not going to get the end result you want. So it's really understanding. And I love the way you put it, try and be comfortable or embrace that uncomfortable process, because that's what is going to build you and lead to, the result that you want to get, and build that resilience. And it is so important. I can see, and I was reading how you were talking about how important MMA is for kids and things like that. And I can totally relate to, like I was saying before, I grew up wanting to be a professional athlete, and was very fortunate to have an uncle that just from such a young age, he saw how much I wanted to do and just supported me and instilled these values. And all of that to this day, I train every day with the acting, with everything else. There's that discipline where it's just completely burnt into my mind. And that's because of, those lessons. So I think, like you're saying, and it's another thing I had written down that I wanted to talk to you about, because I read that, how important it is to you talk with things like MMA and instilling this in kids. Is that something you're really motivated to really obviously do with your own kids, but try and make do more in the the community to try and educate the importance of these kind of lessons, and getting that into the community?
Well, that's my pretty much my exact message. That is exactly my message, because especially with our sport, UFC especially, there's promoting and marketing and this sport, like, what hits the media, again, they're hyping up fights and all this type of stuff, and people have personas and all this sort of thing. They're trash talking to build fights, and this is all we see. This is all a lot of people see. And look, I accept it. I understand that's what people do, but that's just not me. And I'm, again, like, I'm not perfect, and I'm far from it. But, I want to try and be the best person I can. I'm constantly doing, I'm always checking myself to be the best person I can. That's what I'm doing. And there's a lot of UFC fighters. There's a lot of MMA fighters that are exactly the same. And the message that I've pretty much already explained to you, where discipline, like hard, you got to work hard to achieve things you want, all these things, respect, this is everything you will learn in any gym. Even these people that are got this trash talk persona, I guarantee you, when they're in the gym, they're respectful, they're disciplined, they listen to their coach, they do what needs to be done, they do things they don't want to do. You got what I mean? Like, all these things, these are things that that's just what martial arts is all about. But that message is not really out there. People don't get to see that. But I want to change that. Again, that's why I wanted to, with my book, and and we've having this conversation, is it's so much more than that. We ain't just thugs swinging the leather in the cage. We are committed athletes, passionate about our sport. But I mean, we're hard workers, and it ain't easy. This sport ain't easy, and people don't even get to see the hard work that we do. And that's another subject that I don't know if we're gonna get into, but like, when you start talking about weight cutting and these challenges involved in this sport and things like that, people, they do hear about it, but again, they don't realize that the hard work, you know what I mean, the miserable feelings we have to put ourselves through just to get there, to getting that octagon and things like that. So these are messages that I want to get out there, not just the trash talking and bad mouthing and saying bad things about someone just to hype up a fight. Again, that ain't me. It's something I'm not really proud of. I'm more proud of the good things in our sport, the positives in our sport. So that's that's a message I want to give out. And that's why I got my book. I believe it's something I'm very proud of, because again, that's a message I'm trying to do. And I believe that is in my children's book. So I'm stoked with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, and so you should feel that you want to get that message out there, because it's like you're saying, there's so many positives, there's so many things that the public would not normally hear about. There's so many lessons that can be learnt. Like I was saying, I didn't know a huge amount about the sport until about a year ago. I've been living in Vancouver, and I had an Australian friend who had an Aussie, he was friends with an Aussie fighter over there, and he brought us to this match, and we went and watched it, and then went out with them all after, and were chatting, and he was sort of telling me, and I was seeing, I'm like, there's this whole other side to it. And he was also saying, a lot of these fighters behind the scenes, you get in the cage, and then obviously that it's game on. But behind the scenes, there's this mutual respect, and a lot of these people are just the most disciplined, kindest, warm-hearted people that you ever meet. And it's the media portrays it in such a different way. So I guess it's such an important message what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly, man, and it's so true. That's exactly how it is. And look, I accept it. I know what it's like, but I mean, it doesn't mean I have to. Again, that's something, as I told you before, that I'm a little guy. I'm just a regular bloke from a small town. You know what I mean? And people are going to tell me, you need to do this, you need to do that. No, I don't. I don't need to do that. And the same thing. I had people going, you need to trash talk, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, look, I understand it. I accept that that's the direction a lot of people want to go, but that's just not me. They tell me that I need to do it that way. I'm going to be respectful. That's just all I know. If someone badmouths me, all right, I might badmouth them back. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not just going to dig up dirt and just abuse someone for no reason. Again, at the end of the day, I'm a martial artist, and don't get me wrong, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what needs to be done. I still need to, again, I'm a fighter, so I'm going to still have to put hands on him, on my opponent. So don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I'm going to be nice in the cage, but I mean, if there's going to be respect until they say the wrong things and that respect is gone. All right, that's it, and then we can go from there. But that's my angle, and again, it's just an angle that a lot of people don't get to see. But like you said, some of the nicest people I've ever met is in this sport.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell people that don't really know too much about the sport. They will be hard to tell them that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's a really important point, what you just said, with just remaining yourself. And I think anyone listening to this, whatever the hell you're doing in life, like, we often feel like we need to become someone we're not to achieve in it. And I know I felt that, when I got into acting, I was like, oh, you got to, and if you try and be anyone other than yourself, you're not going to sustain it. You're not going to stick to it. You're gonna end up hating the thing you love doing, because it's not you anymore. So I think it's really hard to do when, and I think, I admire the fact that you have been able to, like you're saying, do that and stay so true to yourself, because it's hard, and harder than ever right now, where we're in a world where we're flooded with social media, and we're presented images of what we should be and how we should put ourselves forward and what other people are doing. And it's the hardest thing you can do is just ignore all of that and be like, you know what, I'm going to stay true to my heart. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to do things my way. And that takes confidence, and that takes, self-belief, and so I think it's an amazing message, what you've said in that. And I really like it.
Thank you.
I think it's really good. Yeah.
Well, it's as you said, there's so many, like, it's such a big thing in today, like, obviously with internet and everything, social media and all that type of stuff. And again, like, in our sport especially, it's a little bit different. You go to others, like, there's a lot of other sports. If you're the best, you're the best. You don't need to do nothing. You just need to be the best. And the organization and that will just push you. And you're marketable because you're the best. But it's just a little bit different in our sport. But at the same time, for me, I just need to, again, be true to myself and just get me out there, get a camera in my face and let people get to know me. That's all that I need to do. It's going to be, some might say it's a slower process, but I mean, again, it's just what I believe in, and that's just, I'm going to stay true to who I am and what I believe in, and it's something that I'm proud of. I know when all this is done, I hope I'm proud of what I've done. I hope I can look after my family. Again, this is why I do it. I do it, for my family. This is my career. It's a career path. I'm lucky enough that I did something that I love, but this is now how I look after my family. And, I hope I'm able to do that when this is all done, and be happy of the person that I was or become after it's all done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another question I was going to ask. I read you met your wife when you were 15, and you've stayed together. How much has that helped with your motivation and staying focused and staying grounded? Has that been a big part of it?
It has. It definitely has, because you could imagine, if you didn't have the support from, the ones you love, or, I'm my wife, or my girlfriend at the time, I was living with them, or my wife, I was married to her before I even got into UFC. We literally put our lives on hold. Like, we were doing whatever we could do just to get by so I can chase my dream. And you need to have support for that to happen. Like, it's not easy, you know what I mean? It wasn't easy on my wife. We had obviously relatives, people that love us and only saying these things because they care for us. They don't see the big picture. They don't know too much about our sport. They don't know, they don't know. Now they understand. But I mean, they didn't know back then. They're like, when's he going to give up on this? You know what I mean? You can't just live with your mother, for the rest of your life, or, just things like that. They're just, when's he going to get a regular job? Or, or just like, get back to concrete, because I was a concreter. And she was like, no, like, we had that belief, and you know what I mean? And I was doing everything I needed to do. Obviously, I was chasing my dream, but at the same time, I was concreting when I could, and I was still playing football at the start as well. But you know what I mean. So I was just doing what I had to do to get by. But I mean, you needed the support to get by. If I didn't have that support, I probably would have. I could have gave up. I could have gave up on that. You never know. But again, I'm the type of person that I'm driven. But again, I'm a family man as well. So my family has a lot to do with everything. So if my family wasn't going to be backing me and supporting me through this, it definitely would be harder. I'd have to find ways to make that work. But they're my drive now. They're my motivation. That's what gets me through these, as I say, these hard sessions that we talk about. Like, I know, like, I ain't I ain't spending time away from my family to be half-assing this. You know what I mean? I'm constantly checking myself every minute of the day. Are you doing the best you can to make sure you can provide for your family, or to make sure you hold that belt and that belt doesn't go anywhere from you? You know what I mean? You need to constantly check yourself, and I constantly am.
Thank you so much for supporting Move Your Mind. We're expanding the offerings of the organization, and we're tailoring everything we do to suit you guys and to try and answer to all of your needs and the questions that you send in. The book is available globally. You can find all of the links at nickbracks.com/book. And we've just released the Move Your Mind community. We've currently got a men's community group, a women's community group, a general group. We're going to be loading up other groups. And you can find all of the links at moveyourmind.me. This group's been created based on the needs of what we've heard and learnt throughout running Move Your Mind. And we have live events. We've got courses. We've got huge amounts of value, the ability to share information, share ideas, work in groups together to grow and share your learnings, to learn about different topics. You get email reminders. There's a whole lot of features in there. We're constantly updating it, and we're so excited to share it with you. You can find all of the information about it at moveyourmind.me. Which that pretty much answers my next question. I was going to say,
Sorry, mate, I tend to do that a fair bit.
It's good. You're doing my job for me, mate, making it easier. But I was going to say, are there days when you just, you don't have motivation, or periods even where it's like a week or a month where you just like, you're just struggling to find that energy and passion and motivation. What are some things? I'm sure family and what you were just saying then is one of them. Does that happen? And what are things that you do to get your mind focused again when that happens?
It definitely happens. It happens, and it's going to happen to everyone. And again, when I talk about, we talk about resilience or being uncomfortable and adversity. That's adversity as well. Me getting up in the morning, I'm sore and I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to, and this is going to happen to everyone. And it's funny because I just did a story on my social media just last week, I think it was. And this was the message I said. I go, there's going to be days where you don't feel like going to the gym, but I mean, that's adversity in itself. But you telling yourself, you know what? No, I'm gonna go anyway. You get through it again. You said, like, how much better do you feel after a session? Sometimes we dread it though. We do not want to go, but I mean, a lot of times I go, no, let's just get through it. It ends up being a good session. It might be a hard session, or it might be a bad session, but I still improved. Whether I improved me physically, mentally, I just improved myself. I just went over adversity. I didn't want to do it. And I said, you know what? I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to go. I'm still going to push myself. I'm going to make sure. So I'm going to push through adversity, and I'm going to make sure I get there. Obviously, if you've got injuries and you've got bigger problems, you got to know when to accept that and then make it work around it. Okay, I get that. But there's times where you're just not going to feel it, and it happens to me. There's months where I'm like, it just feels like I'm just getting through. You know what I mean? I'm just going with it. I'm just going to the training to be at training. You know what I mean? And which I guess I still look at it. That is still better than not going, maybe. But I mean, like, how can you stay motivated? And it's little things. You're trying to find purpose in sessions as well. Like, you know what I mean? Whether, all right, did I improve here, or was I able to improve someone else? Could I help my training partners? Did I get fitter today? Did I get the sweat that I wanted to get the sweat? You know what I mean? Just got to try. It might be a small goal. It might be a little goal that I'm ticking, but I'm going to accept that. All right, I didn't. That didn't make me a world champion overnight, but did I tick some goals off? And at least I can do that. And that's one thing that a lot of people need to understand. Like these goals that we set, we don't need to set them so high.
Yep.
You've got big goals, and then we've got goals that's going to get us through the day as well, keep us busy and keep us in check and eat one by one, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you ticked off these little goals. At the end of the day, that's a successful day. That's a day that I took advantage of, you know what I mean? Just things like that. And again, that's what I try. And I didn't know this, I didn't know this through trial and error and talking to the right people. And I understand that. And even me talking about it, me having these conversations, I learned so much as well. So, that's speaking as well. Speaking about it really, really helped me and understands, like, as I said to you before, like, why am I like this? Why do I just constantly get through it? It's like, and then I look at these little things. I learn so much every time I talk about it. And every time you have these kind of conversations. So I think, what you're doing, these types of podcasts and that is just so unique. It's so special. And you know what I mean? I think it's something that a lot of people can really, really relate to and take advantage of. And I thank you for given me the opportunity to speak on it. And not just that, giving the people this sort of knowledge.
Yeah, appreciate it, mate. But that's the best thing about doing this. I get to, sit down for an hour and talk to people like you that I wouldn't, normally connect with in everyday life. And you get to meet all these amazing people and just learn from them and share that information. So it is an amazing thing. But to the point you made before, I think that is, for anyone listening, it's like we're not going to always be able to be at the top of our game. And there are those periods, and the number one thing is just fronting up, even if the result's not amazing. It's just, if you keep fronting up, that, like you're saying, that's when you're building the resilience. And when you are needing it, you're going to draw on that, and you're going to remind yourself, what, I'm so proud of myself that I pushed through when I was feeling, when I didn't want to be there, and when I just, my mind was telling me to stop, I kept going. That's going to make you so much stronger. And, I love what the stuff you're saying about, like, I guess by talking about it, you're realizing that you've naturally gone and done so many things that you can draw on that will help other people. That, there's so many things in there. And I guess that's a big part of the children's book that you've written, which, can you tell me more about that book? For anyone listening, keen to.
Well, man, it's a children's book, so that's the direction like we went. It's not obviously a biography or anything like that. It's a children's book, and it is about that. It is about like building resilience. So we obviously try to make it still fun. Martial arts and the cartoon, like have me like kicking the bag and things like that. And we try to make it so it's still something exciting for the kids to look at, but still give them the right messages. You know what I mean? The right messages that if you work hard and you push yourself and, set, whatever you set your mind to, you can do it. Whether it's getting up early in the morning and pushing yourself, eating your green veggies, you got to eat your veggies, things like that. I mean, like you said, building resilience and, just really pushing yourself. But again, like obviously it's not too harsh. It's not something where we're like, trying to drill these crazy things, but just messages that are there that can help, build resilience and sort of, but at the same time, bring it in a book and make it fun. So
Yeah.
again, it's something that I'm so proud of as well. It's not, you know, a lot of people look at it as like, oh, yeah, why are you doing it? It's like, because it's something I want to do. You know what I mean? It's even having these conversations. I'm so glad we can. You know, again, I'm still learning myself. As we're talking, I'm still learning myself, and I'm learning about myself, as I just said. But you know what I mean? It's just something that I love this type of stuff, and I love you know, I love trying to give back whenever I can, and I feel like this book is doing that. And you know, so again, it's something I'm proud of, as you can see.
Massively, mate. No, you can definitely see, and I think kids' education is like the
Mm-hmm.
one of the most important things, because we're not taught this stuff in school. We're not taught about it's a thing I'm so passionate about, trying to help to educate kids and change the educational system, because we often have to learn through hardship, or we learn through or we don't learn at all about how to understand our emotions, how to create a good mindset, how to just be healthy in day-to-day life. We
Mm-hmm.
don't, it's not embedded into our education. So I think
Yeah.
doing things like what you're doing is so important. And the fact that I guess it's a great way to do it, to make it a bit more fun for them and relatable, because otherwise they're going to tune out. So I think it sounds like you've found a really good balance with getting that across and getting those messages out there to kids, which
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an incredibly important thing.
Exactly. So you know, it is fun for the kids. We try to have fun and beneficial for the kids, but it's something that I want to, you know, I want my kids to read. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's how I look
Yep.
at it. As like parents want to get this book, so they, you know, to help, build the kids, you know, like to build the resilience and things like that, so they can, you know, send the right messages while they're reading a book. It's something that they want to do as well. So that's again, it's cool. It's pretty cool, and it's again, something I'm proud of, and it's just still early days with it as well. You know what I mean? Who knows where this can go? You know, what I mean, if I can help in so many other ways, and again, I'm learning so much every day. You know what I mean? And who knows where this takes me? You know what I mean? So I
Exactly.
just think it's something that's cool, and not only has a lot of potential, but again, it has a real good purpose, and something that I think a lot of people can benefit from.
Oh, I'm sure it'll help a lot of people. Um, I had another question I wanted to ask. How much do you feel the success has come from talent versus just discipline and motivation?
So, mate, I'm probably a good person to talk to when it comes to, as I said earlier, man. I'm just a regular bloke, man. Like I've always been strong, all right. I've always been strong, but you know what I mean. Like if I'm doing it as a kid, if I was doing a test of jumping, test of sprints, and all that, like I wasn't leading the race every time. You know what I mean? That wasn't me. So, you know, there's a lot of people that are a lot more talented than me, but you know, it was just me using my brain, me hard work, and learning. You know, really bringing that knowledge in and being able to use that while I'm working hard. You know, doing everything that needs to be done, wherever it is, like mentally as well, building the resilience and all this type of stuff. It's everything. Is the fact that I've
Mm.
really made myself so complete with everything. I'm not perfect in any areas, but I put it all together so well that it works so well for me. And I think that's something that, again, that's another message that I want to get out there, is like, you don't
Yeah.
need to be the fastest kid in the gym. You don't need to, to jump 6 foot in the air. I still can't jump. You know what I mean? I'm not a big jump. I've got short legs. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I through time and hard work and getting it, I
Mm.
can look pretty impressive in the gym. But again, it's not because of the crazy talented things. It's because I've just never quit attitude and just working at it and just always trying to improve myself in whatever way I can.
Yeah, no, look, it's a inspiring thing, and it's even me listening to that, it's making me more inspired and motivated to keep, in my own pursuits, just be like, just to back yourself, like, because I guess you probably, which I think's true, you probably truly believe that anyone can achieve anything if they're willing
Mm-hmm.
to fight for it and work hard for it.
Yep.
Yeah, which I
And
think is,
adapting is another word that I use so much. Where for me, you know what I mean, it's worked so well for me. And again, people are, oh, you need to be explosive. You need to be tall. You need to be, what I mean? So these are people are still thinking this is what you need to be a complete fighter. This is, you know what I mean? But no, like you don't. Like there's so many different, especially mixed martial arts. Look how many aspects are in the sport, right? So there's the wrestling, grappling, there's everything. But adapt to me. I'm short, but I can use my short, stocky build in so many ways. I've adapted to my body shape. I've adapted to my skill set. I've adapted to, I've just adapted to what I've got and made it work. And, that can, you know what I mean? And that's going to be, again, is this something that I built through a young age? And lucky enough, I was just put in this position and it worked out. And now I understand it. But again, adapting. And I believe that helps in life so much as well. Things aren't going to go your way. I can accept it. Like, obviously I accept like, all right, that didn't end well. Like, how do I learn from this? How do I adapt? How do I, know what I mean? That's what I mean by adapting. You can always adapt and try and adapt to whatever hurdles are in front of you. Again, it's not easy. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to speak on my experiences and things like that. But again, there's going to be hurdles and all that. But, I'm just trying to give you the people that, just a little information that's helped me and maybe,
Sure.
and just again, it is obviously can be a very touchy sort of subject as well. But again, man, like sometimes we need to sort of accept these uncomfortable positions and adapt. That's something they're big words that I use a fair bit.
Yeah, because like you're saying, we might, whatever we're doing, if we're an athlete, we might find, okay, we've got all these things going against us, and then that might make us throw in the towel and lose confidence. Or you could look at, okay, if I've got those, how can that become an advantage? Or if we are going through hardship, or a good example, and I've been talking about this on the podcast through all the coronavirus, we can, when we were, in the middle of it and people are struggling and there's no certainty and they're not knowing what's going to happen, you can look at that and, complain and, just stay in bed all day and, just talk about how negative everything is. Or you could look at it and think, okay, well, this is reality right now. I can't control that. But in this situation, what can I do to improve? How can I use this time to reflect, to set some new goals, to, build my mind? I keep saying to people, use this. If you can thrive through a pandemic, imagine, what mindset you're going to have for whatever else life throws at you down the track. Use it to prepare yourself. And we can do that, like you said, adapting. We can do it in anything.
Yep.
It's 100%. A really powerful point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really
right.
important.
And you talking about obviously taking positives out of situations. That is another thing that has helped me so much, especially in this sport. Again, like I'm an MMA athlete, so I'm going to go down that path and try and explain it that way. But say through fights, like there's times where I've had a big opportunity to fight or something, and then the fight week, the opponent got injured or I got injured. I ended up with a bad staph infection. I couldn't fight. At the time, I'm like, I've dedicated all this time, hard work. There's so many negatives, like so many things I could be like, I did this and complain about. But then, or do I look at it and be like, all right, again, this is just an easy way of putting it, obviously. But I mean, it's better than me complaining about it. But I'll be like, oh, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe I would have, if I fought injured, I would have lost. That's 4 steps back. You know what I mean? Maybe that wasn't meant to be. Maybe a big opportunity is around the corner. So me even just thinking like that, again, like a wishful thinking, you know what I mean? But it's still just the negative, not letting that defeat me and being like, oh, we need to move forward. Maybe there's something better, give me a bit of hope somewhere else and get that energy direction somewhere else rather than complain about what happened. But, and then I'll be like, you know what? And it turned like a lot of times something will happen. Then I'll be like, and I'll whether I'm telling myself this, but I'll be like, oh no, there you go. It was meant to be. This is, I feel this is a bigger opportunity for me. This works out better. You know what I mean? So just little things like that. Like, again, trying not to, and again, it's easier said than done, but again, trying to find positives in negative situations, because there will still be positives. And as you said, sometimes it might be the fact that it might come down to, oh, well, at least I've got through a bit of adversity, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, at least I built a bit of resilience. Wherever you look at it that way, you get what I mean? Like, this is hard, but I mean, all right, I'm going to have to just knuckle down and keep going. Now the positive out of that was resilience. Just things like that. I don't know. I believe that, yes, thinking like that, and I'm glad you touched on that because that's a big point of that's something that's helped me through my career so much.
Yeah, yeah, and just focusing on the small things and one step at a time, not getting overwhelmed by the bigger picture. And um, have you found it? Is it hard? Like, I can imagine it would be tough in your sport, and I guess you've talked about this a bit, but to not be overcome by ego when when you do have success in it, and then on top as well as that, I'm always interested in once you do get that success, is it difficult to maintain the motivation? Because you hear about a lot of athletes where they're driven to get there, but then you get there and you get sort of that drive and hunger is hard to find again because you've actually reached that level of success with it.
Yeah, well, again, like what is it depends how I guess how people look at it. Like, what is
Yep.
is it there shouldn't be an end goal. There shouldn't be I'm going to go get the belt and that's it. Like, that's not the end goal. For me, I'm more motivated than ever. I'm chasing my contenders. I'm the one screaming at all my contenders, going, "Where are you going to fight? I want someone. I want to know who's next. Give me someone." You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there. I'm chasing the contenders. So I'm more hungry than ever. And you know what I mean? So it's for me. I haven't let that be the case, and you hear it so much. But for me, again, my energy, my focus, and my drive is through my family. Me
Yeah.
just me getting this belt isn't enough. That ain't going to look after my family for the rest of my life. I know I want my goal. I want the GOAT status. And I want to be the best I can. I want to take advantage of this time. It's going to be a short time in this sport. How can I take advantage of it and, give back to my family? So I'm going to give it my all. You know what I mean? So I'm in the gym. As soon as I know who I'm fighting, and I got that 8 weeks, and that 8 week, because we structure from about 8 weeks out, I guarantee you I'm going to be training as hard as ever. I mean, right now I'm still staying fit, still doing what I need to do, but again, I will not lack motivation. I will not lack focus because I got the belt. If anything,
Yeah.
it's something that, again, it's just not for me right now. It's not enough. I look at a bigger picture than just having the belt. The belt is cool. It's something I'm very proud of, but I mean, that isn't my end goal. So that's how I look at it.
Well, your anniversary of Under Bracks, we've relaunched with the classic white pair. We've also got new styles coming out super soon. We're donating $1 from every pair to mental health, currently to 1 in 5. You can find all of this at www.underbracks.com. Well, you've given a really important point there, which I'm sure a lot of people probably don't have, which is, we really understanding what is my purpose and what is my deep driving force with what I'm doing. A lot of people, it is about just the external and getting to that endpoint, and that's when people do implode. But I talk about this so much. If we need to understand what is that thing that is so important to you, more above everything else, above what you achieve or where you get to, because if you have that, then you can just deal with anything and you're going to keep pushing no matter what. And it's like, I guess, giving an example for me, it's I want to make change in mental health. And even with my acting career, whenever I'm struggling with that, I think, no, I want to do it because the deeper goal here is the more success I can have in that, the bigger platform I can have to help people in mental health. And it's like, so then it means you can actually deal with whatever's thrown at you, but it also means you don't get caught up in all the bullshit, that comes with everything else. So I think it's just, a really, really important point, what you said there.
Yeah, man. That's it. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And I think it makes, again, like, you learn so much just having these conversations. But it's cool. That's why I'm excited. And again, what you're doing is a good thing. And I see what you're saying, because I'm the same with again, look, being the belt, having the belt and all that's good enough. But I mean, right now, my picture, I need success. I want to be successful for my family. I want to be able to look after my family and give them the best I can. And, just winning the belt isn't enough. I go and lose that belt and start going downhill from there. That ain't going to look after them. We're going to be struggling again. And I ain't going to accept that. There's no way I'm accepting.
Yeah, for sure. And does that sort of tie into sort of post competitive career? Do you sort of have plans about what you want to do then, or is it more of it'll probably be a natural, I guess, unfolding with, all the stuff you're talking about and that you're doing? But yeah.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, that's in our minds. Like we need to, So right now, I'm lucky I've got good people around me to help me with that as well. So again, I was, as I say, like I didn't have the knowledge, and I've always had the hard work, and that's why I got to where I am. But now I need to look ahead, because as I told you, like as fighters, like we ain't going to be in this sport forever. Athletes, you're not going to be in this sport forever. So what is, what is after that? And again, getting that GOAT status, you're building your brand as much as you can, so you can work off that. But at the same time, we're still working and learning so much, and obviously being smart with, like right now, again, like you're trying to be smart with what money I've got, and like little things like that, and obviously having the right people around you, and doing training in certain areas and things like, what I mean. So it's definitely something that you need to have it. And I didn't know this, but I mean, in the last couple of years, it's something that has been drilled into me, and now I totally understand. It's something that I've got my eyes on, and that's again, there's another goal for me. Well, not a goal; it's just never ending. There's no end goal. It's just we're gonna keep pushing it and make ourselves better each day, however we can.
Yep, and there's no end goal in anything. It's about exactly, keep growing and improving. And I mean, you'll be able to help so many people through all the stuff that you've done in your own life. Like you're helping me through, just listening to you today, and I know anyone listening to this will get massive benefit out of it. So there'll be so many things that come out of it. And just to sort of wrap up, we've got closing questions that we finish each episode with. But before that, I mean, you're a professional athlete, so I'm sure there's a lot of things, but we ask most of the people, what are sort of healthy things that you do every day for yourself that you can sort of recommend to, anyone listening that just wants to, try and improve their mental and physical well-being? What do you have some sort of, I mean, again, I'm sure it's a pretty extreme level because you're a professional athlete, but a couple of things you could give as advice to someone listening?
Yeah, well, it's I think we were touching on things. So something that the little goal, the goals that I was talking about, I believe that's something, that's a message that I feel like helps me and can help, is the fact that, on a day, like if we have little goals that we want to set, and obviously if we don't get all them goals, don't let it get to you. But at the same time, whether it is, all right, me eating a healthy meal for me, right? Because again, I'm going to talk in my experience. For me, eating a breakfast was a nice, healthy meal. Tick. There's a goal. You know what I mean? I want to get to the gym. I don't want it, but I'm going to go. Boom, tick, got it. At the end of the day, these are little goals. I push myself to it. Some of them I didn't get to do them, but I made up for it here. Tick the goals. At the end of the day, all right. You know what I mean? I feel better. So just one thing that I can say is, again, don't set these massive goals. Have big goals, but I mean, on the day, keep yourself busy, keep your mind busy through things that will help you. Because again, I notice, I feel like I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love food. Yeah. So I want to eat, but I mean, after I eat a bit, and then say if I put on a bit of weight, that's going to make things harder for me. Going into camp and things like that. So at the end of the day, it's it might be a short happiness. But I mean, it ain't going to be happy for me in a couple of weeks, what I mean? So the end happiness isn't there. So, what I mean? Like these things that, again, like there's going to be a little bit of adversities during the day. But if you can get through these little goals, I guarantee at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you're going to be a happier person because you bettered yourself and you're going to feel better. That's something that works for me. And hopefully, if I explain that well enough for people to understand where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's a really important message for anyone listening. Break things down. Don't overwhelm yourself. Have the bigger end goal, but look at what are the little things I can do daily to just better myself. And also, when you are, looking at doing something that might give you that short-term gratification, think about, well, is that going to help me longer term? And I think it's really powerful what you've said there. And before I go into these closing questions, if people want to buy your book or learn more about you, etc., and I'll put in the show notes links to it, but where can they go?
Yeah, well, we've got a Facebook page, Instagram, Alexander the Great Children's Book .com. So you can go, we've got the website. So you can go straight to the websites or the social media, or I'll have it all on my social media as well. At Alex Volkanovski. That's my Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook's Alexander the Great. So you can get it all there, or you can go straight to the Alexander the Great Children's Book.com.
Beautiful. And we'll have links, direct links for all of that as well. So these closing questions, we ask all the guests these same questions sort of at the end of each interview. These can be sort of, whatever comes to mind, sort of one-line answers or whatever you think of. But
one-line answers are hard for me, but I tend to go.
Well, and most people don't. Yeah, they don't have to be. They don't have to be one. But just whatever you think of, mate. But
I'll do my best.
Do your best. They can be a bit longer than one line. But the first one, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind?
Best childhood memory? Man, I don't remember much as a kid, to be quite honest. No, best childhood memory would have to be, one thing that I always remember is like a holiday I once went. Sorry, this is just what comes to my mind. It was a holiday that I went with my family. I think it was up in Queensland. And I remember it was, don't know why, but it's something that always stick to me. It was like a big mushroom. We had a theme park. It was a theme park and a big mushroom, and it was like a shower mushroom thing. Right. And just sitting under that, that's something that has always stuck to me. And because you threw that one on me and it was on the spot, that's all I can sort of think of. But that's something that always comes to mind is when I was younger, just that little mushroom shower was actually pretty cool.
There you go. No, that's what I'm wanting, mate. Just whatever comes to mind, because you get interesting answers in these. The next
shower,
one is,
there we go.
Mushroom showers. Yeah, let's go have a mushroom shower. What do you think is the biggest burden on mental health in society today?
The biggest burden?
Yeah.
So social media maybe could be a big one. Yeah.
We've had probably, I reckon, 95% of people. It's like I think it is. It's the worst.
Yeah.
The biggest thing.
I didn't want to say because I thought everyone would, but I mean, it's just.
No, this is why I like doing it at the end, because it just helps people understand. Yeah, social media needs to be managed. It's a problem.
Don't let everyone tell you how to live your life and be. You know what I mean? Obviously, try and get the knowledge, but as we said earlier, be yourself.
Be yourself. Where do you see mental health in 10 years' time, in the sense of, do you see in society things getting worse, better, or maybe a bit of both?
Social media?
Well, mental health in general,
sorry.
But things like, with social media and that kind of thing, do you see it becoming a bigger problem in the next sort of decade?
Man, sorry, this one's true. I honestly do believe it will get better. I believe the more awareness, like in November, I'm on November this year, just the more awareness and the people trying to get the messages, you doing things like this, it's unreal. And I think it's something that we definitely need. And we just need to get these messages out there, need to get the knowledge out there. And I do believe we'll see it, because it's more talked about now. So, and I just believe, the more knowledge that will be out there will definitely benefit. So I believe so.
Absolutely. Two more here. What would you say is your personal definition of happiness?
Oh, man, this is going to be boring, man. Family, you know what I mean? Family, I do everything for my family. So happy wife, happy life, happy family, happy life too, you know what I mean? Keep them happy, man. Like, again, I'm lucky enough to be in a position I am. But again, I'm just thankful to have a supportive family and just, that's my happiness in there. You know what I mean? Again, if I do a hard session in the gym and I come home and I knew that I did the hard session for the family, and that keeps me happy.
I don't think that's a boring one. I think it's a beautiful one, mate. It's good. Beautiful. It's a great message. So final one, what's the most, I'm sure there's many of these, but what's the most courageous thing you've ever done?
Most courageous thing I've ever done. Damn.
I'm sure there's a lot, but
yeah, there would. So,
or one of them.
Okay, courageous. So as in like, okay, man, it's a good question. Man, obviously, just even getting in the octagon, you know what I mean? Getting into the octagon is a big hurdle, like, you know what I mean, and being able to all the pressures, you know what I mean, like whether it's through injuries and struggling with weight and all this type of stuff, and then still going out there and to be able to perform and to even put yourself out there and stay strong and stay true to yourself. I think that's huge, and that is courageous. Hopefully I answered that all right.
Oh, massively. No, I think it's a great way to finish up. And look, I just want to say to you, I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. I've learnt a huge amount. It's inspired me, and I know that you're going to help a lot of people that listen to this. And congratulations on everything you have achieved and that you are achieving. And it means a lot to me that you've come on the podcast and spoken to us. So thank you so much for doing it, and good luck with everything that's ahead for you.
No worries, man. And thank you for having, like, again, as you said, having something like this. And I do see things improving for mental, health and that, and it's through things like this. So thank you.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you. Thanks to Alex Volkanovski for joining me today for Move Your Mind. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to nickbracks.com/book to purchase the Move Your Mind book, or you can join the Move Your Mind community at moveyourmind.me.